This is the Enforcer prototype. In my opinion, one of the best looking ships in EVE. I love the symmetry to it, I love that it looks like some kind of futuristic fighter jet. It's also one of the most versatile ships in the game on paper. If you have a look at its stat bonuses, you'll see it receives bonuses to pretty much every single high slot in the game, along with covert ops cloaks and sinusoidal field generators. I am working on a fitting guide for this ship, but whilst I was asking for people's opinions on the official Discord, I got some feedback that made me kind of pause and want to put out a different type of video first. And so that's what we're getting today. The fact that the Enforcer prototype pretty much proves right everything I've been saying about EVE Echoes in quite a few different ways. So, without further ado on this one, hit a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Otherwise, ahoy there, I'm Captain Benzie, and let's jump right in. So, the Enforcer prototype. You get this ship by doing project discovery, reaching 50,000 of the science credits, and then buying it from the shop. Let's open up the fitting page. I'm not suggesting this is a good fit, it's just what I was running to try some stuff out recently. Please don't at me. But if you do, you're kind of proving a point of what I'm going to be getting at in this video. Now, when I was talking to people about the Enforcer prototype, the first thing that people said to me was, the IP cost of it is too expensive. If the ship gets blown up, it is way too expensive to bring back. Why would I, use this when I can fly something else of equal DPS, equal survivability and support that is considerably cheaper to bring back? This got me immediately thinking about insurance. The same people who tell me that insurance is absolutely the worst thing in the game won't fly a ship if they can't insure it. The hypocrisy in that is, frankly, staggering. But it does point out exactly what I've been saying about insurance. That even if you were to remove it from the game, it wouldn't solve half the problems, and it would cause more. Because most people, despite what they tell you on Reddit, despite what they tell you on Discord, will not undock something if they don't think they can easily get it back. That is a harrowing truth, that those same people who are telling you that, oh yeah, insurance doesn't matter, I used to fly fully kitted out Daredevils back in the day and I lost dozens of them and I still undocked. Yeah, except nowadays they don't anymore. If they can't insure it, they won't undock it. That kind of proves that insurance is a necessity for the survival of the game in regards to how people will actually undock and enjoy PvP. Let alone the honest people who sit there and say, yeah, I wouldn't take part in PvP if it weren't for the ability to insure my ship and bring it back. Even PvEers sit there and say the same thing. Insurance keeps me coming back. Knowing that that safety net is there is more important than the safety net itself. A lot of those people flying, say, Apocalypse Strikers in Claralam or other ships like this that are basically flying glass cannon DPS fits, ultimately, they never lose a ship. They are sitting on billions and billions of ISK. They probably already have spares, so if they did lose their ship, which is highly unlikely given the content that they're doing, but if they did lose that ship, they've already got spares. Or in a worst case, they can just insure it and bring it back and fly to Jita and grab the few missing bits that they don't have, unless they've already stockpiled those at a nearby station. But the point is, those people still say they feel much more comfortable playing the game knowing that the insurance safety net is there. So again, that hypocrisy of insurance is the worst thing in the game, but I won't undock unless I am insured, is really telling. I've said this so many times, insurance is not the big bugbear, it's not the huge problem in EVE Echoes. It is exacerbating the problem, it magnifies the problem, yeah, for sure. But if you were to take insurance out of the game, that wouldn't fix industry, because there's still nothing being destroyed, and arguably, you'd actually get less stuff destroyed because fewer people would be undocking. Yeah, if you stop and think about all of this for just a moment, it all begins to come undone, and that's why I get so angry talking to people about insurance, because they don't want to listen. They don't want to listen. Everyone says insurance is the big thing that's killing the game, therefore it is, and anyone who says otherwise is not part of the cult. They're wrong, and I'm just going to shout at them. But you need to stop and look at it. Insurance, yeah, okay, it magics up ships, but it also does create buy orders. Okay, no one fulfills those buy orders, but if no one's undocking because no one's insured, then there are no other, no one's buying ships anyway, because there's just no destruction. I would rather have one buy order generated for every 5 ships than just no buy orders whatsoever. and that's what you get without insurance. Anyway, that's not the topic of this video. I don't want to sit and harp on about insurance. It was more just the hypocrisy innate there. It was a really good showcase, actually, I thought, of how important insurance actually can be. And I'm going to get flack for this. I can see people already angrily typing into the comment section that Captain Benzie's trying to kill the game. Yeah, I get it. I get it. You have been led into a cult-like belief that insurance is the big problem, and anyone telling you otherwise must instantly be wrong. The simple fact is that no one has come up with a convincing argument for why insurance is the thing that is ultimately killing the game. They sit there and give this, oh, it needs to be ISK. Why? Why does it need to be ISK? Because that just causes inflation further down the line. I've just promised I wouldn't go into insurance, yet here I am. Let's move on. Ultimately, what I wanted to point out here is that the fact that the Enforcer prototype has such an insanely high IP cost, people then say, I won't fly this because it's too much IP. Most of those are the same people telling you that insurance is bad. That's hypocrisy, and it showcases that insurance is a necessity to EVE Echoes in order to actually get people to play the game and undock. The second thing that was said about the Enforcer prototype was, even if the IP was the same, considering the cost of the ship and other things that I can fly at this tech level, why on earth would I? Because look, this is a ship that is currently fitted with torpedoes and doing 742.07 DPS. Okay, there's no nanocore in there, but I am using califaction catalyst and 2 bayloading accelerators just to see what I kind of got out of this. 742 DPS on torpedoes isn't particularly much. And if you swap to other weapon systems, again, you'll find that it just doesn't do quite as much as perhaps it should do. And if we're looking at the Enforcer prototype being essentially a Tech 8 ship, well, at Tech level 8, we have the Bellicose Interdictor. Before that, we have the, the Bellicose Covert Ops, which gets much the same DPS and does the same thing. So missiles on on the Enforcer prototype compared to missiles on the Bellicose Covert Ops, I'd rather be using the Covert Ops because it's cheaper, it does more damage, and it's smaller and harder to hit. Heck, at one tech level above, you get the Bellicose 2 Covert Ops, which is just categorically, flat out, hands down better than using the Enforcer prototype as a missile ship. And this does kind of work across as well with some of the other vessels out there, like why would you fly this as cannons, for example, when you have the Stabber Sniper at tech level 8 as well. Stabber Sniper compared to a Cannon Enforcer, I'd rather be using the Stabber Sniper if I'm being completely honest. This then harks back to the argument I was giving a couple of weeks ago that too many options makes for no actual choice. It's the most counterintuitive, sounds like an oxymoron statement that I could make, that, hang on, if you give people more options, they have less choice? Yes. Yes, because everyone can fly any ship in the game. If you are a cruiser pilot, if you have cruiser skills, just flat basic cruiser skills, you can fly the Bellicose, you can fly the Enforcer, you can fly the Arbitrator, you can fly the Vexor, you can fly the Omen, you can fly the Scythe, you can fly pretty much every ship in the game. All you have to do is skill into the high slot that you want, and those aren't particularly expensive to skill into. That means that now, every time you look at a cruiser as a cruiser pilot, you are comparing it against every single other cruiser. And in some situations, a certain cruiser might stick out over others. In other situations, another cruiser might win. But there are always going to be losers. And unfortunately, the Enforcer prototype, once you start comparing it to other cruisers at equal tech level, it begins to fall apart. So why would I fly this? Because if I have, for example, like, I've got Advanced Micro Warp Drive, Advanced Electronic Warfare, as any cruiser pilot by tech level 8 should have at least that at 5.5 anyway, along with at the bottom, of course, Advanced Cruiser Command 5.5. So if we assume that all of your basic combat skills are at 5.5, not even going into Expert, you're just at Advanced 5, you're going to be getting the full bonuses out of this, whatever you're doing. Now, I've of course got the medium missile skills on this particular character, so now the Enforcer prototype is competing with the Bellicose, with the Caracal Sniper, the Bellicose Covert Ops, the Caracal Sniper, even the Bellicose Interdictor. And in just almost all of those situations, those are better ships than the Enforcer prototype. If I want something that can covert ops, I've got the Bellicose Covert Ops that's cheaper and equal DPS whilst being a smaller, faster ship. If I want straight up raw damage, I've got the Caracal Sniper, which massively not massively, but outperforms the Enforcer prototype. If I want to go for advanced medium cannons, for example, I'm now competing with the Stabber Sniper, and the Stabber Sniper wins in almost every regards over the Enforcer. The only difference there is that the Enforcer theoretically has the Sinusoidal Field capability and the Covert Ops Cloak. At which point so does the Celestis, and uses cannons or uses railguns. And again, this is the point I'm getting at. That when you look at this, because there's no difference, for me, with these skills, I can comfortably fly the Enforcer prototype. You can see everything is maxed out there. If I go back into the ship tree, he says actually tapping on it this time, and we open up the Bellicose Covert Ops, you'll see I have all the skills for that as well, but it's just a better ship. If I go across into the Caldari State ship tree at tech level 8 and have a look at the Caracal Sniper, you can see I've got all the skills for that as well, and it's a better ship. So why would I ever fly the Enforcer prototype when the Caracal Sniper and the Bellicose Covert Ops do the same things, but better? You wouldn't. That's the problem with having too many options available. If everyone can fly everything, then you're always going to find that something is better. You're going to have one ship that it just sits top of the pile. Again, if I wanted to fly something like railguns, staying in the Caldari State, if I wanted to fly a railgun cruiser, I could fit the Enforcer prototype with railguns. Or, at that point in time, I could just be flying the standard Moa at tech level 6, which is comparable DPS. At higher tiers, yeah, okay, we now have the Moa 2 Guardian and just the Moa Guardian, which isn't quite the same as what's going on there. Once we hit higher tiers as well, we lose out on those. But you still got options like the Celestis, which just outright beats the Enforcer prototype, doesn't it? When you give everyone the ability to fly everything, then you ultimately end up with people flying one specific thing. And that's kind of the problem. Because, again, even at battleship level, if you say to people, right, you're going to have battleship skills. Everyone has 5/5 battleship command, battleship defense, battleship engineering. Everyone has the shield or armor skills they need. It's then just which weapon type you pick. And if you're going to compare, say, the cost of a Tech 10 cruiser, a Tech 10 battleship, then something like the Apocalypse Striker is just going to win out in many, many cases. Not all cases, sure, but in most cases, it's going to win. Maybe the Abaddon does things better for you personally, maybe the Maelstrom does things better for you personally, but the only difference between those ships, really, is the weapon. And the fact that EVE Online requires you to skill into a cruiser type or a battleship type, like Minmatar, Amar, it means that you suddenly have to use options within the tech tree. No one ever really flies the Myrmidon over the Prophecy, but if you wanted to ultimately end up flying a Apocalypse Striker, then the Prophecy is en route to that. If you wanted to fly, say, something like a Talos, then you're going to have the skills to fly the Myrmidon, but not the Prophecy. Suddenly, the Prophecy isn't useful to you anymore. The Myrmidon actually wins because you've only got skills that affect the Myrmidon, not the Prophecy. Looking at, like, other ships, once you hit higher tiers, if you're a cruiser pilot, you're probably going to end up just going for something like a Cinnabal at top tier because it's just one of the best faction cruisers. And whatever cruiser you've been flying, all you need to do is make sure you've got cannon skills at tech level, at the right tech level, and suddenly you can fly the Cinnabal. And then if you decide that actually today you want to undock the Ashimu, you don't need to change any skills other than the lasers. If you want to go between a Ashimu or a Phantasm, there's no difference in skills at all between those two ships. They are the same ship, pretty much, as far as it's concerned. And that to me is a problem. That to me is a problem that the Enforcer prototype just really massively shoves a magnifying lens to. That when you look at it, that fact that we have so much choice, the Enforcer prototype, because we've got so much choice, ends up falling to the wayside. Because why would you use this over something else that you can already fly? If you're skilled into the Enforcer prototype, you are already skilled into better ships. And that's a problem. I don't know though. These are my thoughts and opinions. You may have your own. I would love to hear what you think in the comment section down below. If you're flying the Enforcer prototype and having fun with it, yes, I get that it's not an ideal ship. When I put out videos like the Praxis 2, people are like, oh, why would I fly this over other things? I'm not suggesting you should. I'm not suggesting the Praxis 2 is better than anything else. I'm suggesting that if you really want to undock the Praxis because you like how it looks, here's how you can do it. I'd love to know if anyone's flying the Enforcer prototype, what you're doing with it, what kind of fun you're having. I'll feature feature that in a future video. I want to do a fitting guide on this one, just to showcase what it can be used for and what it actually looks like. It's not going to be a recommendation, but it's just going to be a here's how you can use it and have fun with it. Anyway, folks, thank you for watching right the way through to the end on this one. Thank you for your support. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.